an Ottawa-based artist, graph and mural artist with over 20 years in the game, supposedly. That's cool. His work blends hip-hop influences, comic book, Hey everyone, welcome to Did You Know? Unearthing Urban Creatives, where we dive into the stories, struggles, and successes of artists shaping our urban landscape. I'm your host, Jason Mashinsky, alongside my co-host, Lindsay Mashinsky. This season, we're bringing you the Roundtable Sessions, a special series where artists transform upcycled tables into works of art, sparking conversation about creativity, culture, and the community they come from. And today, we're talking with Phil, or better known as DEKS, an Ottawa-based artist, graph and mural artist, with over 20 years in the game, supposedly. That's cool. His work blends hip-hop influences, comic book, and aesthetics. You don't seem that old, Dex, that's why. And skate culture, all while pushing the boundaries of graffiti art. He's also an educator and a key player in Ottawa's urban art scene. We'll be chatting about his process, the piece he created for the Roundtable Sessions, which is just over here behind him, and the connections between skateboarding, murals, and digital art. So let's get into it.
Supposedly.
Yeah. I like that.
So we've heard. So your graffiti and mural work incorporates a mix of influences from hip-hop to comic books and street culture. What were some of the biggest artistic influences that shaped your style?
You really just jumped right into that, didn't you?
Was I not supposed to?
I don't know.
No, it's a great question. Yeah, like I actually got into skateboarding before I got into graffiti. And so skateboarding really had a huge impact on my life when I was growing up. I got into it in like early adolescent stages, and it was influential in so many different ways. Like it opened me up to art that I would have never discovered on my own. I mean, you know, I can speak to watching skate videos and being influenced by the song choices that skaters would include for their parts, and that was kind of eye-opening. But graffiti was always around the skate parks, and so that was always something that drew me to like the visual aspects of like the physical environment. I was just like blown away by all the different colors and all the different styles and just how well it meshed with skateboarding culture and like the atmosphere. So that was definitely a big influence, but skateboard graphics too was something that I was always really drawn to. You know, I think of like early World Industries graphics that were just kind of pushing the boundaries in terms of like the content. Like some of it was just like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, vulgar, but like in your face. And it was always just this kind of like cartoony, graffiti-esque kind of style. So I'd say skateboard graphics and just the graffiti that I saw around skate parks was definitely a huge influence for me. Like when I started seeing that, I was like, I want to try doing that myself.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you're right, they're very interconnected. I think there's other questions that we have specifically around that too.
Okay. So graffiti can be both personal and public at the same time. Yeah. So how do you balance being true to your lived experience while also creating something that connects with the community? Or do you just not really give a shit about that?
No, I do. Supposedly I do.
Supposedly you do.
Supposedly I do.
So they say.
No, it's a great question. You know, like I think that a lot of it is kind of personal because it's me sort of putting my whatever's going on in my head out into the world. But it's always this interesting thing. My mentor growing up always kind of taught me a few things about the world of graffiti and you know different outlooks on it. And he always said like, as soon as you're done with the piece, if you're painting it out on a wall for the public to see, then you know it's not yours anymore. Like once you're done with the piece and it's on the wall, it's for the public and it's for everybody else to enjoy. So you kind of have to just take a step back and not really take ownership of it. And I really thought that was a beautiful thing because while I'm doing it, I have this really deep personal connection to it. And even if I see it afterwards, like once it's done, you know, I still have this sort of genuine connection to it. But at a certain point, you just kind of throw it out there, and once it's out there, it's just for the public to enjoy, and they can kind of interpret it however they want. So I've never been like a big like I don't know, protector of my art or anything like that. I just if it gets buffed, it gets buffed. If somebody goes over it, somebody goes over it. And, you know, it's just part of the whole process.
Who was your mentor, by the way?
I had two. When I got into graffiti, there was a local artist. Shout outs to Again's one. He is a fantastic graffiti artist. He's still somewhat active, but back in the day, he used to write Bizarre. And he used to just hang around the skate park, and I used to see him a lot. He was actually younger than me by like 4 years.
That's cool.
But he was just this like young protege that was growing up and just kind of really like got a lot of like the stuff you need to be a good graffiti artist very early. And he was just like completely enthralled by the world. So I was just pumped on his enthusiasm and his passion for graffiti. So I just started following him around. We started hanging out, and we started going out at night and just, you know, doing our thing. And he was just a big inspiration for me in terms of just the knowledge that I gained from like technical abilities to just like this raw love for going out and painting. So he was a big inspiration. I learned a lot from him. And then my second mentor was a dude who wrote Sexec. And he used to run with this crew called BSC. I might be mistaken that, but forgive me if I get those details wrong. But he was someone that we met through mutual friends. And when I discovered that he was this writer that I was looking up to, I was like starstruck, basically. And he was nice enough to take me out, even though I was still very new to the game and I just was not at his level at all. But he still took me out and he showed me a few things. And like I said earlier, like he imparted a lot of wisdom in terms of like outlook on graffiti and how it differs from other art forms. And I just really liked the thoughtfulness that he put into it, how we could have these like deep conversations about art and sometimes have no depth to our conversations at all, you know? Yeah. And he just made it seem really fun, but he also made it seem like it was something worth doing, you know?
So mentorship was a big thing then, early on for you?
For sure. I feel like, I don't know if it really exists anymore, but I think back in the day, like in the old school days of graffiti, I'm not talking like that old school, right? I've only been in the game supposedly for 20 years. But you know, it was kind of, there was this idea of like, if you want to get into it, then you kind of have to be like brought into it by someone who's been around for a while, who has gained a little bit of respect in the world of graffiti. And, you know, this was just part of the process. Like those first few times you're going out and you're trying to figure it out on your own. But if you're lucky enough to find someone who's been doing it long enough, they can give you like shortcuts in terms of your development because they teach you things. And I found it really beneficial to me. Just having a community or even just a few people to hang around to, you know, help me progress as an artist. And it was just something that I always appreciated from the get-go.
I think in that way too, anybody, like if you hear mentorship in the city still in the graph scene, I think Mimic was probably somebody that, you know, a lot of people really looked up to, and like he had a lot of younger people that like he helped along the way and stuff like that. So
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. There was always like, it back, you know, in the early 2000s, it was still kind of like a small world, you know, everyone kind of like knew each other through whether it's like internet forums or just like meeting up at spots and there being a bunch of writers there. But you always heard about different writers, and it wasn't just their art style that you would talk about. It would like their outlook on graffiti or like what they've done for other people growing up. Like it all sort of mattered, and it was all part of the, yeah.
So I think we're swinging back to the round table then, I guess. So I have another question for you about the round table, the piece behind you. The round table sessions, you painted a piece on a round wooden table, something very different from a wall or a canvas. I know you even mentioned that when you were painting too. What was your experience like? And did the shape challenge you in the piece itself, or just simply just painting on a table?
I mean, it's something that I don't really do very often. Most of the time when I'm painting a wall or I'm painting a very large canvas or surface. So, you know, even though this is a pretty large canvas, I was kind of like nervous going into it because I just don't really paint at this scale. But the shape didn't bother me. I thought the shape was actually wicked, and the texture and the whole idea of you guys using these vintage tables, it was just awesome. So the challenge was just coming up with something that was like small enough that could be readable and that I could incorporate into this. So I went with a sort of a stencil street art approach and just spray painted the whole thing, and it was really cool. I just added a bunch of layers to it, and just layer after layer, started to make a little
bunch.
Yeah.
Just wait till the time lapse comes out.
Yeah, no, but it was cool. You know, like I took it on as a challenge. I think I'm stoked on the final product.
It looks amazing,
and it still kind of stays true to what I would do on a wall. So I think like it still kind of matches my general style.
It's funny that most people, that paint on walls, they're like, I can't paint small. Mick has said that over and over and over again, and you were saying that too. So it's just interesting because like you guys want to do big. There's a wall behind me that DEKS has been eyeing, by the way. So
yeah, it's pretty rad. It's just the freedom, you know, when you have so much space, like you can just play around with it, and you don't have to really worry about like, is it gonna fit, is it not, right?
Yeah. Does that much space freak you out though sometimes, or you're like, oh shit, I gotta fill that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you put your first outline on, you're like, oh, this isn't going the way that I wanted to. But the great thing about having all that extra space is if you have extra room to fill, just fill it with whatever you've got, you know. Yeah. It's always just kind of like a natural approach.
Yeah. And like the piece you did behind the community wall at Disrupt was very long.
Yeah.
Right.
That was
and
really
you were
long.
able to fill stuff in between it after and stuff like that too.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really cool.
Like the bigger the better. If you can give me like a good space, like I'll fill it, and it might not be
fill it, people.
Yeah. That's right.
I love the texture of the texture of the tables too, which we were nervous about because they were pretty beat up.
Yeah.
But it does kind of mimic a wall a little bit with the texture of a wall, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because like the wolf's eyes and stuff like that, you see the texture and the sheep and everything else like that too. It's pretty sick. I love it.
Yeah. And you see that, like you said, with walls, like where there's a lot of like broken bricks and different things that are happening where they're not clean, perfect, smooth surfaces. And it does add that kind of extra street feel to it, which I love.
Yeah.
But that texture adds to like the storytelling element of it all, right? Because like, you know, you're looking at this and every little scratch in the table has its own sort of story behind it. So I love it. As soon as I started putting like black paint around like on the table, some of those scratches and blemishes and whatnot started to come through.
Yeah, they were really
highlighted.
I was
stoked on that.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
Like even the one in front of us has so much.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Walk us through the artwork you created and what was the inspiration behind it and how does it tie into your usual themes? So I think you kind of touched on some of that, but...
Yeah, so like the idea is like oftentimes when I'm looking for like inspiration for something, whether it's like a lettering design or a character design, I'm always like thinking about like phrases that have really like stuck with me.
Yeah.
I'm an English teacher, so I like looking at some of these like statements that have been made and the deeper meaning behind them. So one statement that has always kind of stuck with me was this Latin phrase, homo homini lupus, which is man is wolf to man. And I kind of tied it with this idea of like a wolf in sheep's clothing, kind of like deception and all that other stuff. So it's kind of a reminder for us to maybe not give our trust away so easily. And but with like the style, like I wanted it to be playful. Like anything that I do, I'm never really going about it in like a serious way, you know. You know, we talked about this earlier, but part of the reason why I'm still doing graffiti and why I make art like this is because it's a connection to my inner child. I have fun when I do this, and I hope that when people look at my artwork, they at least smile or they have a little bit of fun engaging with it, you know? So I just wanted to take this like wolf in sheep's clothing idea, but just make it really fun. And you know,
is really fun.
That's my whole approach. You know, I want it to be colorful. I want it to be bold. And I just want to make sure that it has that sort of outlook that I have towards art, and a reminder for people to just kind of smile, maybe not take things so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for these sort of times, that's for sure.
Especially.
Yeah. the fuck?
Beep.
Yeah, shit, I'm swearing now. All right, so you're a skateboarder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your brother co-owns Burling Skate Shop.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Shout out to Berlin.
Yeah.
Skate culture and graffiti have always been connected. Do you see that influence in your own work? Have we already answered that question, sort of?
He started with, I think, but I feel like there's more to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I could definitely expand. I mean, I think that there are lots of similarities between the two. They're both like urban forms of expression.
Yep.
We're using like the city landscape and the physical environment of the city as our canvas. I mean, I look at skateboarding as an art form more than anything else. And for skateboarders to go out and find ledges, benches, any kind of like physical object located within the city and just kind of use it for something that it wasn't intentionally used for takes a lot of creativity, you know, and it's really cool. It's got the same raw feel as graffiti, because in graffiti we're looking around for canvases on walls and for different spaces. So I think that there's definitely a lot of similarities between the two. The worlds have definitely collided in very real ways. I mean, when you go to any skate park, you'll always see graffiti there. You'll see graffiti on skateboard graphics. It seems like the two kind of emerged around the same time and were kind of growing like symbiotically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's funny that you mention it. Like, if you ask like hardcore skaters how they feel about graffiti, they don't necessarily see it in a positive light.
I always found that very shocking, by the way. When we first started to kind of explore street art more and graffiti, we always thought the two kind of went hand in hand. Yeah. And like you explained, they really kind of do, but the cultures definitely don't always overlap. Like yours does, and there's definitely the skateboarders that are graph artists, but it doesn't always overlap like you'd think it would.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that it's really silly because like there's a lot more similarities than there are differences between the two worlds,
100%.
you know? And I think if people were to just step back and look at the big picture, they'd see that like it's obviously like two peas in a pod kind of situation,
absolutely.
You know? But like there's valid reasons why, let's say, like skaters might not appreciate graffiti, and like it's really as simple as sometimes skaters don't like graffiti in their skate parks.
Okay.
If you're painting a surface and then I'm going to skate on it, it's going to make it slippery.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes
Logistics.
it confusing.
Okay.
Some skaters just really like clean parks, whereas graffiti artists see it as like just another canvas to paint, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's just kind of like a misunderstanding when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And then similarly, like graffiti artists might hold ill will to skaters for maybe messing up their pieces when they're like skating street spots and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically, I think that most graffiti artists I've met have dabbled in skateboarding or have connections to the skateboarding world. And a lot of skaters that I know have dabbled in graffiti and just know a lot of graffiti artists.
See, that makes sense.
You know, I think like it's a like-mindedness that really sort of connects us all together, but it's just funny how some people see it very differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my question kind of talks about that a bit more, but I'll read it anyways just to make sure we covered it. So skateboarding and graffiti have always shared a deep connection. Both take inspiration from the urban landscape, transforming everyday spaces into something dynamic and expressive. As a skateboarder and graffiti artist, do you see a direct link between the two cultures? Yes. How have they influenced your creative process and the way you approach your work? Well, I guess coming from both, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how graffiti gets you to sort of look at the city a little bit differently. Similarly with skateboarding. I mean, like we were talking about, earlier today, how sometimes I'll be like walking down the street with my wife and I will just like stop and stare at this like one little chunk of concrete that is so insignificant to most people, and like no one would even really stop and think about it, but I'm sitting there just like worshiping this thing, just like this is amazing. Like I'm taking photos of it and I'm like sending photos to my brother, like, you know, like this is a sick spot. And graffiti works the same way. Like sometimes I'll see some like dirty alley that like everybody just walks by all the time, and I look at this brick wall and I'm like, wow, this is just a beautiful canvas.
Yeah.
Like something should go here, you know? So, you know, I think like the two kind of get you to see urban spaces a little bit differently.
Yeah.
and they feed off of each other.
Yeah.
So now that like when I go travel and I go to a new city that I've never been before, I'm looking at it basically through the eyes of both a skater and a graffiti artist, and those are the things that I'm looking for most.
It's funny because you see so much more than most people would see, right? And even as a photographer, when I used to, like I was telling you about this, I used to stare in like a weird, like rusty, like old, disgusting walls because I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. I could use this for something. And just re-envisioning our spaces differently. And I think even looking at vacant spaces, and Disrupt this year is going to kind of focus on vacant spaces because there's so much in our city that we just kind of like walk by and we're like, oh, it's just like an old rundown building and stuff like that. Same with our art hub. Like it was pretty sad looking when we had it. So it's about looking at our city differently and being like, what can we put there? How can we use it in a different way? And I think the collaboration that the NCC did with your brother was kind of on that. It speaks to that, right? Because you're looking at a space that most people are like, well, this is for this, and this is the NCC, and it's supposed to be like benches and stuff. But skateboarders see it as something that they could use to like skate on, right? And it's bridging those gaps of saying like, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. We can work together as a community to everybody gets to use a space in a different way. And I think that speaking on graffiti, like if you even look at Christopher Griffin versus Mimic under the bridge over there, there's that whole, everyone's like, oh, Christopher Griffin, everything you do is amazing because you're covering up Mimic's work. But they're looking at it from the lies of that's the work that they like. Whereas like if you look at the graph and the mural community, everyone's like, oh, Mimic stuff is amazing. Yeah. But Mimic can't go do it or couldn't have done it broad daylight. Whereas Christopher Griffin can, right? Because everybody in the community is like, oh, Christopher, thank you for covering that up. Where we're like, wait a second, like you see the piece that's on our building of Mimics and it's amazing. And if you gave him the opportunity to go do it broad daylight without getting arrested, it would be amazing.
For sure.
Right? So there's that double standard too of how we see our spaces, and there needs to be room for everybody and make more space for graffiti artists in our city without having to always buff them out because we always just expect that it's just going to be like, oh, that's not what people want. But maybe they do want more of that.
But like, shout outs to the NCC for all the work that they've been doing over the last few years.
100%.
They are starting to actually pay attention to some of these communities that look at the city in different ways.
Yeah.
And they're starting to cater to those communities and work with those communities. Like the project that you were referring to is just having more legal skate spots in the city. So, the park across from Archives, I forget what it's called. I think
the Centennial Park, I think.
Something Garden of Provinces.
Yeah.
We always just refer to it as Archives. Like that was always the skate spot.
But there's such great like lines and architecture in that space.
It's great. And like the fact that like years ago they put skate stoppers on all of the ledges, and then 10 years later they're removing some of those skate stoppers to let skaters skate this spot. Like it's super cool that they are recognizing that this space is used in multiple ways. And, incorporate that into the identity of it rather than like trying to push these people away. Why not have it incorporated into like the makeup of what this space is all about, right? It's creating this sense of play within the city. And the same goes with graffiti. I mean, this city is lacking in artistic expression in terms of like murals and just cool art that could be displayed in the city. So to have more murals and for the NCC to be not only in support of it, but paying artists to go and paint all this stuff, like that's just, we're heading in the right direction. And I got a lot of hope for the city in terms of like, I don't know, breathing more life and allowing for this expression to
I would
proliferate.
Definitely say a big shout out to Ian for that because Ian's the one that not only did the collaboration with your brother at Berlin, but he's also the one that made Disrupt 2024 a huge success and gave us a 400-foot wall, another 100-foot community wall.
For sure.
He's the one that encouraged that we had graffiti on it and that we incorporated that into the walls of a very like prominent location, and it's something that I'm pretty sure the wall is probably kind of like heritage in a sense. It's been there forever.
Definitely.
But to add that to the space, it's transformed the space, and people come in here all the time and they're like, wow, that space is so amazing now. I walk that every day to work and this and that, and it transformed the space, right? And he was very welcoming and open to that, and he made that part of that new vision of that space because they spent a ton of money trying to redo it and make the point new and the new footbridge and stuff, but to have art on it was just like the cherry on the top, right? So
For sure.
yeah, and he was amazing to work with, and I think your brother would say the same. So we need more Ians in this world.
Yeah.
Advocating on on behalf of people that want to see the city in a bit of a different way.
For
so,
sure. And we need to re-envision what it means to take on like a beautification process or anything, because if flowers and gardens are your thing, great. Like I think adding more flowers and more like natural elements to the urban landscape, I think that would be cool. It's not necessarily my thing. Yeah. You go for it. Yeah. But, like my version is having more murals in the city or having spaces where skaters can go and skate a space that is also being used for other purposes, So I think I'm just stoked that people are starting to realize like there are different versions of making the city a little bit better. And I'm glad that an organization like the NCC is actively working with communities to make this better.
Yeah.
If you had to give one of them up, skating or painting murals, which one would you pick?
It's me.
I mean, at this point in my life, if I had to give up one, I'd probably say skateboarding.
Really?
I love skateboarding.
It's not on your body.
But exactly. Like I'm getting older.
I mean, painting you can stand.
I just, I love skating, and I will do it until my body just expires. But I'm gonna. I think that for the safety and for the longevity of playing with my kids and having legs to stand on, I think I would probably stick with painting. Yeah. And I definitely have done, I've transitioned more towards painting just because I think it's a little bit safer for me to do. And yeah.
Your body speaks to you.
Yeah. I mean, I never used to really think that way, but when you have kids and you want to be able to pick them up still, that matters.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Priorities change.
Yeah.
So these series of questions are about your digital work, because you do a lot of murals, but you also do a lot of digital work.
Yeah.
So beyond murals and graffiti, you do a lot of digital artwork.
Yeah.
What got you into that, and how does working digitally compare to painting walls? And how do they kind of complement each other as well too?
I mean, the digital art that I do is all just done on my iPad through Procreate. Mm-hmm. I think when I first got introduced to that app, it blew me away. I'd always done sketches on paper and whatnot, but I mean, Procreate is just a tablet application like that can allow you to just do designs and do line work and all these different kinds of effects that I could never really replicate just pen and paper. Mm-hmm. So, I have very little knowledge of Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. So I do digital illustrations, but really it's just taking the stuff that I was always doing on paper and just doing it on my iPad instead. Yeah. So with whatever kind of approach I take to art, I always like to sort of incorporate one foot in the old world and one foot in the new, right? That's cool. I don't think that I should just abandon everything that I've been doing with sketching on paper. I like to just take that and use technology to leverage it and to make it cooler, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's cool that I can do a drawing on my iPad and then just have it able to be printed as a sticker or as a t-shirt design or blow it up really big. And, when I'm making stencils now, I can do a digital version of it and then I can send that over to someone who can do a laser cut for me. So I think it's awesome. And it's something that I'm going to continue doing just because I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of it, and I hope to learn more as I go along. But yeah, it's just a simple transfer of what I was already doing into a new space.
I like how you mentioned that you're you're just kind of new to the digital art thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Photoshop and Illustrator, but I really think that those two software programs were kind of like a stopgap to what we really wanted with digital drawing anyway, which is just going directly to the tablet, which to me makes more sense.
Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to do a curvy shape or something, I could maybe bring it into Photoshop and give it that really clean look, right? But what I actually like about the drawings that I do on Procreate is that sometimes they are a little bumpy and sometimes they are a little like not perfect, right?
Exactly.
But that's exactly how it would be if I was painting
If you're
a piece.
drawing, yeah. Or
And when I paint a piece, it's never going to be perfect. There's
Yeah.
always those little imperfections, and the imperfections give it that human quality,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
So-
that's something that's lost.
So this piece is basically the stencil was done through Procreate. You basically did it and
Yeah.
then had the stencil cut out.
Yeah.
And it's gonna
Yeah.
be so cool as merch.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Just
I mean,
wait.
it's like every time I do one of these designs,
Yeah.
it's just, then I have this design and I can copy it and I can cut it up and I can do all these different things to it, you know? It's
Yeah.
like back in the day, it was like when you had a sketch, that was it. You had the sketch. But there's so much more capabilities in terms of like playing around with the design and transforming it and using one element of it and mixing it with another element from another design.
Yeah.
It's cool that way.
It's weird saying like old school stencil artists like take their stuff, photocopy it, and then physically cut it out.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever seen
I've done that
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
too.
That's
Like,
crazy.
that's how we used to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
On that too, I think that we talked about maybe doing some workshops with this too, because the stencil is so cool and it gives so much creative freedom with the backdrop and stuff like that, that it would be really interesting to bring people in to learn about that a bit more too.
Yeah, because
So-
I think Andy's classes were well received with the digital art.
Oh, absolutely. And even actually learning how to do the digital art component to turning it into a stencil to
Yeah.
turning it into something that's spray painted is a really cool concept. So
For sure.
it has a super cool look to it. I can't wait for everybody to see it.
And it was interesting to see too, because Andy's work, he's had a show just before the show that's up now. He doesn't use Procreate. He uses a digital process, a different process as well
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see different artists using different techniques to do that. But essentially, he was drawing on an iPad as well too, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to learn new things every now and then, but I don't try to push it too much. I really just
Well,
like...
Procreate's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Procreate was awesome just because like I'm like, oh, so I can just still draw on this thing. It's
Yeah.
just like I can just change the width of my lines and everything. I'm like, cool, you know, like it's still something that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I didn't have to like learn a bunch of new things, you know,
Yeah.
and I kind of like it that way.
Yeah.
And the other programs are a little bit more intense. Like I'm super like well versed in Photoshop, but like I mean you in software everything, but for him to say that Procreate is
No, it's so good.
amazing coming from someone that uses Illustrator and InDesign and all the different things, because it's like you said, it's just like something that's like really like accessible to people too, right? Where you don't have to like learn extensive amounts of stuff to use it. You can draw,
Yeah.
which is what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I give my son the tablet every now and then, and he'll just kind of like do a few drawings.
Yeah.
And he's always amazed at what he comes
Aw.
up with, you know? So I
So
think
cute.
if you can draw something that you would have normally drawn on a piece of paper anyway,
Yeah.
but you do it in Procreate, it just, I don't know, like it hits you a little bit different. And
It's weird to see the younger generation sort of interact with tablets versus computers.
Mm-hmm.
I know Abby was in front of a desktop the other day, and she was just like, "What is this? Like,
Yeah.
why would you use a mouse? Like
Yeah.
when you can touch
Yeah.
a screen
Yeah.
and write on
Yeah.
it with a pencil or a pen?" I think you're going to see a generation of people looking at us going,
What
"How
they
are you
doing?"
using
Yeah.
computing like that for?" Because
Those
everything
old
should be
people
more
using it.
interactive
Yeah.
and more touchable.
It
Yeah.
should be.
But
yeah.
there's value in like exploring like the old ways of
Oh,
doing
of course.
things, you know?
Just like old
And-
drawing and stuff. It's
Yeah.
good to bring
Yeah.
those old techniques back. But
For sure.
it's interesting to see younger kids interact like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you love about digital art that you don't get from murals or graffiti, and vice versa? What keeps you coming back to painting large scale walls?
I think what keeps me coming back to painting large scale walls is just it's what drew me to it in the first place. And like if I stop painting walls, then that's it. I'm not gonna paint anymore. Like it's
Good.
it's
Happy to hear.
Yeah,
Keep going.
That's where like it all started.
Yeah.
So I like doing that. It's a totally different vibe. You
Yeah.
know, like if I'm gonna go paint a wall, I'm there for the full day. I'm listening to music. Usually I'm working with other artists, so I'm talking to them. It's a lot more collaborative. But, you know, on those times where I just want to, like, sit on my couch at the end of the day and just kind of do a quick drawing, then I can sit down on my couch, and it's a really comfortable kind of, like, solo setting. So
Yeah.
I like to paint a wall when I want to talk to people and when I want to actually, like, when I've got a little bit more energy.
Yeah.
But the digital stuff is just something that I can kind of, like, it's my me time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I kind of just... sit back and enjoy just interacting with the technology.
So introverted DEKS is digital.
Yeah.
Extroverted DEKS
You
is
gotta
walls.
have a balance, you know. You gotta.
I wonder what ambivert DEKS does. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll have to ask him next time he's here.
So your work has been part of projects like House of Paint, revitalizing urban spaces through murals. How does it feel to contribute to Ottawa's street art scene in like such a big way?
Oh, I mean, it's so cool. Like, it's sweet that I can take my son and my family to different spots of the city where I have murals up and, you know, show them what it's like to actually contribute to the community and make it a little bit of a brighter space. Yeah. So I'm honored and I'm grateful. I think, like, at times I kind of almost feel like an imposter because this was never an opportunity that I thought would come my way. You know, I always just thought I'd be like painting in alleyways for the rest of my life and not really getting any recognition for it. But I mean, I have to give you guys a big shout out to that because when we first met and when we started working together, you guys inspired me to take it to another level and to take it a little bit more seriously. So it's cool. I still have that element of fun. And I do really enjoy doing it. And if I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't keep doing it. But I just like the extra push that I get from these projects and the fact that people actually like the work that I do. And I'm just honored. It's a really cool thing.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's people like you that we saw the artwork in the alleyways and we're like, we got to get this everywhere.
Where are these people?
Yeah.
And you were one of the first people like we really connected with on that too, that we were just like, wow, like especially graffiti, right? Like I think that's something that is a little bit more underground in the city. So it's like getting to know more graffiti artists and understanding the culture more is something that's really like we've always loved all like street art, right? Like it's always been super like deep rooted in our souls, but like getting to learn more about the culture and being invited into the culture is very it's rewarding for us too because we love it and we just want to see more of it in the city. So
I mean, we were usually like I grew up in Toronto. I was exposed to that scene. Montreal was a big thing.
Was a big one
and then
us.
Coming here and then starting this, it was that there's so much talent in the city, and you don't see a lot of the stuff like you were saying on major walls that you see throughout the city. You see it in the alleyways and stuff like that, and we want to bring that forward a little bit more.
We still want the alleyways too,
of course.
But like seeing it on bigger walls, like that's what we need.
Yeah. I mean, there was always this notion of like selling out when I was growing up. Like, you know, the hardcore graffiti dudes would be opposed to anybody who would like get paid for a job or do any kind of like commercial gigs with their graffiti. But so, you know, I think that we do have to hold on to at least some of that because there's this like underground element to it. And, you know, I think it's cool. And we got to keep at least a little bit of that outlook alive.
But I think that's like what you were mentioning about the NCC, about skate culture and, you know, obviously Disrupt with us. Is that bridging gaps. And I think you're seeing people that are sort of growing up through that scene, getting into positions like that and saying, well, that's what I grew up with. Why don't I see this? Or just like you said, flowers are great, but we kind of want murals and that's what we want nowadays. And we want a combination of both. So
I think that like, I don't know where it is in our questions. I don't care at this point because I think it's a really good intro to that. When we started talking to you about doing a graph dads thing, it's because graph artists kept coming in here and they're like, oh, I can't do graph anymore because my wife is this and that and like doesn't let me do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. They're like, I love doing it, but I'm not allowed to anymore because I have, you know, kids and this and that. And there's this like deep rooted like desire to still want to do it, but you're not in a position to do it illegally, if we want to call it what society tells us is illegal, right?
Let's frame the graph dads thing first. So I mean, the one thing that because not everyone knows, so basically just so people understand what it is, graph dads is we're going non for profit, and that's one of the things that we want to start. We want to start a group of graffiti artists and urban artists who are doing stuff to basically mentor young people.
Yeah, and I think it's a way for you guys to really like get out there still and have that community and still build on that and really do what you love, but do it in a way like, because a lot of times we're like, hey, can we take your picture? And you're like, I just want to create art, right? Like I love creating art, and you want to, you know, show your kids how to make art and stuff like that too, right? On the walls. And I think that that's where Graph Dads is kind of like a mentorship thing. And it's just a way to have jams in the city with people and like be able to like support them in ways. As you said, mentorship was such a big
the beginning of the podcast
part of
when
it.
you talked about mentorship.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think if we want to keep that culture alive, I think that's something that, you know, this generation's got to do for future generations to keep on going with that sort of thing as well too.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting to be part of like the evolution of it all, because like, you know, nowadays graffiti is a lot more accepted than it was when I first started.
Yeah.
And
Thankfully.
we never really had a lot of those like mature, older like individuals. I mean, like I talked about my mentor and how much I learned, but you know, this whole like new approach to graffiti and how like, you know, we could use it to actually better the community instead of just keeping it within like our own little pocket of the city, you know. There's a lot of opportunity to use it in positive ways, and I'm super down to do that, you know. Like I think that a lot of people can benefit from getting into the world of graffiti. It's done wonders for my life and my sort of growth as an individual. So if I can impart some of that wisdom to the younger generation and help steer them towards like a more positive outlook on like what you can actually do with this, I think it's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of people struggling too. A lot of the younger kids are struggling, right?
And
like,
people want a voice, and I think that's why people get into graffiti, is to say something and have something to say.
And we want them to have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So DEKS is now in charge of that.
Yeah, DEKS is the king of the graph dads. He's the graph daddy.
The idea kind of came about when we were doing a jam in the Byward Market, and I just
oh my gosh, this is my favorite story.
Yeah, well, we got this opportunity to paint panels inside like the pavilion at the Byward Market, and it was a wonderful opportunity.
Gallery 55,
yeah. But you know, we got tasked with coming up with a team of like 20 artists to come and paint these panels, and you know, I'm not on social media. I'm not really as connected with like the current community just because I've got other priorities. Yeah. So I had to reach out to all of my old graffiti friends from back in the day. So we managed to get together, and like it just happened that like there was a bunch of panels in a row of dads that are just kind of coming back into graffiti and painting these pieces. So the idea of graph dads kind of came out of that, and it was really cool to not only like reconnect with some of these old artists, but to see the changes in their sort of outlook on graffiti. And it was really cool to hang out with them all again and paint a piece. It's been a long time.
From an outsider, it was very cool to go into that, to see that, because we expected there was going to be like a bunch of hardcore graph guys. We get in there and they're like school pickups and like, you know, talking about babies and all this stuff. And I was like, what is even happening here, right? I think
just life.
Mick was the only one that was a girl there painting, and everybody else was talking about all this stuff, and it's all dad related stuff. And I was like, I don't even understand what I'm in. Like, what is this? I thought this was like a graph jam, right? Yeah. And it was so fun to talk to all of them about how, like, you know, I got to get home early and stuff. And it's a perspective of like your life has shifted. You have other responsibilities. You still want to be a graffiti artist, but you are also a husband and a dad, and you have these responsibilities, right? Yeah, so it was very cool. So that's where the graph dad thing was hilarious. And I still tell everybody about that because it was the funniest thing I've ever witnessed. And the work was amazing, right? It was awesome.
So, I mean, for that, since we threw that out there, if anyone's interested listening, who do
we need graph dads. This
is who do they reach out to? Do you want us to?
Yeah, they can reach out to us.
Reach out to us.
Yeah, or because DEKS isn't really on social. So like.
But I'm down to connect. I'm down to connect with other people who have that same sort of like-mindedness when it comes to this. You know, if you were one who maybe dabbled in graffiti or you know, were really into it at some point, but maybe things have changed. And you know, you want to maybe start exploring it again, like I think like we need to start looking at like different versions of what the world of graffiti could look like. And you know, it's just cool to see people that feel the same way, you know. And we're still keeping it real. Like we're not there trying to pretend like we don't care about our kids, or you know, like you know, having that sort of like old school mentality of just like vandalism and delinquents and all that, you know. Like
no, you're keeping it real because life just changes. And
that's just it, man. Changes. And like that's the thing that's never changed. We keep it real, you know. Like when we were younger, we were stupid adolescents, but you know, now we're older, we have priorities, we've got kids, and we're more mature, and we keep it real. Like that's just it.
We were stupid adolescents too.
So links down below if you want to email us or talk to us through social about that, and you can reach out to us if we want to start organizing that sooner than later.
And if you are a younger artist looking for mentorship and want to be part of it, let us know. So yeah, it's both ends, right? People that want to kind of be the mentors and the mentees. So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have all the answers, and I'm still figuring this out as we go along. But, you know, I really benefit off of just like talking to people that were embedded in the community.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to pay that forward.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And part of the journey is doing it together too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what actually earlier when you were painting this piece, there was like, we were kind of going back and forth and you were talking about that, how, you know, you like that sort of like when you used to paint with multiple people and people would be like, hey, you should change this, or maybe what about this?
Yeah.
And you kind of build on it. And when you see the time lapse, you'll see the transformation of the piece. And it was just kind of fun to even like be part of that, where I was like, oh, cool, I can suggest these things to him. And he just all of a sudden goes out there and just starts spraying it. I was like, what's happening here? And so it's kind of interesting to see that collaborative piece. And that's where even like Disrupt comes in, right? Where we really want it to be a collaborative thing that involves mentorship and it involves community. It's not just about, you know, you and spotlighting specific artists. It's about working together and building something bigger.
For sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of keeping it real and obviously moving forward, you know, in life, you're now a teacher.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, like, how does that influence your artwork? I know you've mentioned you mentioned the Latin quote when you were doing this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, over and above that, how much do you think that's influenced your work as a graph artist?
As a teacher, especially like as an English teacher, I get exposed to a lot of different texts, and I get a lot of inspiration from my students because, you know, I'll present some articles or films to watch or things to do in class, but they'll come back to me with their own suggestions, and there's a lot of things that I've learned from them, maybe even more than they've learned from me. But I find inspiration in that. And so, like, you know, there are texts, poems, phrases, lots of different things that my students will expose me to, and that sort of leads to inspiration for artwork, right? I think that a lot of times I'll find someone or something that inspires me, and that'll just kind of like create this thought that bubbles in my head for about a week until I figure out how to actually represent that visually.
That's cool.
So yeah, I mean, I'd say like the biggest thing is just being inspired by my students who just expose me to things that I don't think I would have come to on my own.
That's cool.
Yeah.
For young artists, especially those getting into graffiti, what advice would you give them about making a name for themselves while still respecting the culture?
I think it's really important to stay humble. And that's a hard message to get across to adolescents. I know. So if you are an adolescent
we've all struggled with it.
who is looking to get into graffiti, you know, I would say just stay humble and don't try to rush the process, because I think that a lot of people just want to be really good really fast. But you got to understand that it takes time, and you're probably not going to like some of the first things that you come up with, but if you stick with it, eventually, you know, you'll get to a piece where you're like, I kind of like this a little bit, and then it just progresses from there. So, you know, I would say just don't be too hard on yourself. Remember to have fun, because after all, that's why we all do this anyway. And, you know, be humble. Don't brag too much, and try to just focus on your own progression. I think this is something that I tell students all the time, but don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself only to yourself. You know, if you are better than where you were a year ago, then you're heading in the right direction. And if you're still smiling when you're painting, keep doing it. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But it's something that I think a lot of people should just take easy and apply sort of an organic approach to your own
and realize it takes time to develop your style, right? You're not going to come out of the gates like, well, most people wouldn't come out of the gates having that all like defined and stuff. So,
those of us who are lucky enough to sort of stick through all those like terrible pieces that you paint at the beginning, then, you know, it gets better. And
I remember our first year portfolios, I looked at it, I was like, oh gosh, I was like, what was that? You know, like in school.
What's that thing they always say, like your first 10,000 photographs or artworks are horrible and you just kind of get through it. It's true. But looking back on it, I mean, that's what kind of makes you grow and adapt, because you look at all the mistakes and you kind of learn from that.
It's like the light bulb. You got to keep going to get the thing. Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Sometimes when I look back at some of my first pieces, like originally my reaction would just be like, whoa.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like looking at it and I'm like stoked. I'm like, I can't believe that like I got past that. And like, you know, my stuff is way better than what it was when I started off. So it's like, it's inspiration.
It's a good perspective to have on it too.
Yeah.
Instead of just being disgusted by it.
Yeah.
It's always good to keep some sort of representation of it too, if not the original piece.
For sure.
Because I know a lot of my students, they just chuck their work, and I was like, you got to hold on to it. You got to be able to be, it's like a diary.
Well, especially for like graffiti, because like, you know, we didn't have phones when I first started. Like we didn't have cameras on us all the time. So I would have this like 8 megapixel little like digital camera. You paint the piece and like you better hope that there's enough battery in that camera to take one photo. And that's it, you know, like you have that one photo and you might not ever see that piece again. You know?
It's funny with the, going back to skateboarding, that similarity of like, you know, skateboard culture and video and stills and trying to get in that shot. It's literally the same thing too.
For sure.
And it's that spontaneity of it as well too. It almost harkens back to music too.
100%.
And having that archive. I know we really want an art archive for street art in the city.
For street art and graffiti,
Because there's definitely, like you said, you have photos of stuff that you've done and everybody else does. And there's people that have specifically documented that for years, right? So creating coffee table books and putting them in documentaries and all that kind of stuff is something that we would love to do and actually archive them, right? And actually create like shows around them and stuff like that.
One of our big things is to push for a digital online archive of Ottawa street and urban art. Somehow get that done so that it can be studied, used. I mean, not for any nefarious purposes, but
it's history, right?
History,
like I think that we need to hold on to that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So current and future projects. So you've recently worked on the hip hop time capsule project for House of Paint.
Yeah.
What was it like contributing to something like that will be part of Ottawa's cultural history for the next 20 years?
I mean, it was really cool. Like the whole art exhibit that the Ottawa Art Gallery put together for that was awesome.
It was awesome,
it was.
Again, seeing like the development of it and seeing how far we've come, and just giving a shout out to all the people that really paved the way for where we're at today. Without those people, there would be no community and there would be nothing to sort of pick up. So it was an honor. It was an honor to work on that capsule. I think that it's an interesting piece of history because we have this safe, this vault essentially that's going to contain all of these like artifacts that will be unearthed one day and people will be able to see how far hip hop has come, right? And I think if we do things like this, we kind of say to the world that this is important and this matters and that we need to keep doing stuff like this. So I was, again, just very honored to be a part of that. And I hope that it serves some positive purpose in the future.
Any upcoming projects or collaborations that you're excited about? Like what's next for you? Disrupt. I'm really stoked on Disrupt. Like, I'll be honest, like I like some of the other artists that you guys work with are constantly working on projects because it's their full-time job. My full-time job is a secondary teacher, and I have 2 kids at home. So my time is just really eaten up by that, and that's my main focus. I do run an art club at the school, and we put together student art displays and mural projects there. So that's something that I'm really excited about. I find a lot of joy in that because the kids that show up for art club are there because they want to be there. There's no restraints in terms of like assessments or like no pressure because they're not getting marked on their work. I love that.
So it's really cool for me to offer like just a space for students to go and just express themselves however they want to express themselves. And those are projects that I'm really excited about. But Disrupt is something that I always look forward to. I mean, now that we've got the ball rolling on this and it's happening every year, it's an awesome opportunity. I had such a blast last year.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Really fun. And I look forward to just continuing this. I mean, if the goal is to have one of these every single year, then that'll be like my big highlight in terms of art every year. And it's something that's going to keep me going.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. We definitely want it to be a yearly thing, if not something that's even more. So me again.
this is like our wrap up, I guess.
Yeah. So this has been really awesome. Thanks for sharing your journey and insights with us. Where can people find more of your work? For starters, I guess, like you said, Disrupt 2024. I guess you could talk a bit about that. You had 2 pieces, which was great. One during the festival itself, and then you got to do the other piece. So people, I can tell people where it is if you want, but it's basically right behind the National Gallery of Canada, underneath the new footbridge there, right by Alexander Bridge on St. Patrick. So if you just go down that little roadway by Major Hills Park there that takes you to the locks at the Chateau Laurier, there's a big wall there. DEKS' piece is the second from the left if you're looking at it.
And
then the big rooster on it.
Yeah, and it says pause. And then he also did the back side of the community wall. So it says community and community, maybe? Is that right? Yeah.
French and English,
yeah. So French and English. So you can definitely check it out there. Is there any other pieces that you really want to talk about that you have in the city that are still there?
Well, I've got some work in the Byward Market. I think there's a shipping container that I painted a piece on there.
Nice.
And there's murals here and there.
Yeah.
I don't have any social media presence. I don't have a website. I really just do this for fun.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And I think that, a lot of the projects and things that I get involved in are all thanks to you guys, because you just kind of hit me up and say, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, cool. So I'm not really big on promoting myself. In fact, I want to put the spotlight and attention on the artists that you work with that are full-time artists and that rely on this as kind of their bread and butter, So I'm thankful to be part of this, but other than my homepage or my artist bio page on your website, I don't think there's anywhere else you can really find me.
But on that way too, the merch that we sell of yours here, it's really well received. People love it, right? So you can definitely come here and you can get upcycled art cans with DEKS' work on it and a whole bunch of different stickers
prints,
and
buttons.
People love it. So it's great to be able to have your work live on in different ways too. And just wait till the next one that you just did to come out. So that will be really cool. But it's great. And I think it's cool that everybody can have different focuses. You could be like, hey, I want to do this full time, or I don't. I decided early on when I was a young artist that I didn't want to do art as a career. So I became a photographer because I was like, I could do this every day and I can, perfect that craft, but I didn't want to have the pressure as an artist. So I think it's cool that you can do either, right? And you don't have to. I know a lot of people come in here and they ask us, they're like, where's your work? And we're like, we don't have our work here because we don't really care to represent ourselves. We want to change the landscape of our city and support the artists in this city. And that's our main goal. I could care less if I ever showcased anything ever again. So it's kind of fun to look at things differently and be like, there's a purpose for all of us and we can all be part of this whole making the art scene better, but we don't have to be the ones that are doing all the pieces or do it as a career. And it's great to support those ones in different ways. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's important to pursue whatever dreams you have and find inspiration wherever you can. But for me, I literally just do this for fun.
Yeah.
And whenever I can find time between, being a dad and a teacher to squeeze some art in, then I'll do it. And I never really had an ambition of becoming a professional artist. It's just always something that I really enjoyed doing. And I just hope that passion never goes away.
Yeah. It's great for your whole well-being, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So DEKS, before we wrap up, do you have anything else to
add? No, I just want to say thank you very much for everything that we did here today and everything that you guys are doing in general. I think that other organizations in the city should be paying attention to what you guys are doing. I'm in awe of the dedication that you guys have put into this. You're both very hardworking individuals, and just to be invited to be even a small part of your journey is an honor. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
This episode was brought to light by the crew at the Urban Art Collective, edited by Visual Jesus, with original tunes from The Bouge. Big love to Awesome Ottawa for making this podcast happen. Their support helps us keep digging into Ottawa's creative scene. Extra thanks to the City of Ottawa Street Seats program and the Centertown BIA's Uncommon Spaces. Through their partnership with our Disrupt Urban Art activations, we get to keep sharing the voices and stories that make the city so damn cool. If you're local, come say hi. We're at 1088 Somerset Street West in Hintonburg, or check us out online anytime at urbanartcollective.ca. Looking for a creative studio space? We got rentals right next door to the gallery, plus a full print lab for all your print needs. Hit up our site to learn more. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, urbanartcollective.ca, for all the latest drops, shows, and events. Lastly, a huge thank you for listening and supporting what we do. Every time you tune in, share the pod, or show up at one of our events, you're helping keep this movement alive. Subscribe, swing by a show, or come just hang out. We seriously couldn't do it without you. Thanks.